Hi, today I'm gonna make a floppy hat in basically a miniature floppy hat. I'm doing a miniature because one of my students asked me if I could make a miniature hat for one of her stuffies, or I can help her make one. So Madeline, this is for you, and I want to show everyone how to do this so that you can make something small like this, or you can actually use this pattern and make it for a bigger hat if you want it for a baby, for a toddler, or even for an adult. If you don't put the flap on it, then you can make a beanie. So this is the same way you would make a beanie or a floppy hat. Hats are basically the same, and then you decide what you want to do at the bottom. If you want to make them flare out, or if you want to keep them going straight down, make them as long as you want. You can make a slouchy beanie or a regular beanie, whatever you like. So anyways, I'll explain that as we get into it, but today I'm going to make the miniature one. All right, and here's one I had already made. Let me get into this. I'm using the eye hook 5.25, and I'm using worsted weight medium 4, and that recommends the eye hook, so that's why I'm using that size hook, and it's also my favorite hook. So I always use this size, and I usually work in this weight of yarn, and that's why I always use the eye hook. Okay, so first you do your slip knot. And as I've told you guys many times, I do not like magic circles, so I do chain of 3. 1, 2, 3. And then you connect the third chain to the first chain. You just put it right into the first chain, yarn over, and pull it through. Okay? And that gives you a little loop. If you can see, you have a little loop in the center with the hole. Now you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to crochet 10 single crochets in that hole. So remember, single crochets, you don't yarn over first, you just put it in the hole, yarn over, pull it back out. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, and then you yarn over and pull it through those 2. So put it in, pull it out, you have 2 loops, yarn over, pull it through both. Again, and I have 2 so far. 1, 2, 3, let me move my yarn over to the side, it's getting in the picture. 4, 5, 6, and if you can see, I'm working my tail into my work so you won't have to sew it in. 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and then you're going to slip stitch into the very first stitch that you made. If you can't identify your stitches, just look on the side, and it has little V's. Every V is a stitch. So put it under the first V. So this might be a little tight, so just keep working it until you get it through. Yarn over, pull it through. This is the tightest part. And then you're just going to pull that same loop through the last loop you had. So there you go. And then as we go, you can tighten this more. At the end, we'll go ahead and tighten it and put a knot there so that it doesn't come undone. But it's not going to completely come undone because I started with the chain and not a magic circle. That's the reason I don't like magic circles, is because sometimes they do come undone and you have to go put knots in. I one time made an entire blanket with magic circles in the center of each one of my, I did hexagons, and they all started to open up because it was a silky yarn, and I had to go back and tie like 180 knots, and it was not fun. So since then I've kind of sworn off on magic circles. Okay, so go ahead and we're going to do row 2. Row 2, what you're going to do is you're going to chain the first one, and then you're going to make 2 single crochets in every stitch. And since I already did a chain 1, I'm going to count that as my first one. And I'm going to go into the same stitch where the chain is, pull it through. This is the tightest part, is when you start. And yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 2. Now I'm going to go into the next stitch. Remember, look for your V's. If you want to put a stitch marker right here on the first stitch you made, so you know where you're at, you can do that. You can either, if you don't have a stitch marker, just use a little piece of a different color yarn and stick it through there. It doesn't have to be very long, like an inch or 2, to help you identify when you get back. I can see it. I see that little bump there, and I know that's the beginning. But as a beginning crocheter, you might not be able to recognize that. That's a hard part for beginners, so just put a little piece of yarn. You don't have to go out and buy stitch markers. So 2 in each one. I'm just going around, and in each stitch I'm sticking the needle in twice and doing a single crochet. So next one. I had tried to do this video before and it didn't work out. I messed up, so I unraveled a lot of yarn, so now it's getting in my way. It's amazing that it's more difficult to make these videos than you think. You make one mistake and you're just like, and I'm not great at editing, so I'm a crocheter, not a video editor, so I started over. So this is why I have a big ball of yarn sitting to the side of me. Oh, let me grab that. It fell out. That was 1, 2, next stitch, 1, 2, and next stitch. It's kind of tight at the beginning when you're first starting, and then it starts to loosen up after a while. You figure it out. 1, 2, and I'm at the last stitch. 1, 2, and I know I'm at the last stitch because I see the bump here, so I'm going to go into my very first stitch, pull it through, and pull it through again. There we go. I made my circle. Now for the next row, I'm actually not going to do this because I'm working in miniature and this is wide enough for me. I don't need to increase it anymore. But if you want to make a larger hat, you would do the same thing. You would chain 1, and then you would do 2 stitches in the first one, then 1, then 2 single crochets, then 1 single crochet, then 2 single crochets, then 1 single crochet. And then if you want it wider, the next row you're going to do the same thing. Chain 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. And then if you want it wider, same thing. Chain 1, and it would be 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1. You just have to keep count. And then if you want it one more, that would be for a full-grown man hat. That you would be making a pretty big hat. So then you would go 2, 1, 1, 1, 1 4 times, and then 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, and that's how you just keep increasing the single crochets in between the two single crochets in one stitch. And you keep going until you make it as wide as you need at the top. And then after, I'll show you how to make the walls. That's just the top of the head, the crown, basically. And then after that, you start making the side walls. I'm going to start making the side walls on this hat because it's for a stuffy, so I don't need to make it very wide. Now, I'm going to single crochet in every stitch around. So I made my first one my chain, so I'm going to go into the first stitch, single crochet. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. And you're going to see that it's going to start curving like a bowl. And then at that point, you're going to make as many rows of just single crochets all the way around as you need it to be for the depth that you want. Let's see how many I did for this one. I did the 1, 2, and then I did 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like 5 rows of going down, and it was just a single crochet all the way around. And remember, if you need to identify your first stitch, I know it's right here because I see the bump. But if you need to identify, put a stitch marker or a little piece of yarn there, and that way you don't lose your place. Go all the way around. Keep going. I'm going to do this last row, and then I'm going to pause the video and come back when I'm closer done with my bowl. This is how you would do a bowl also. Several of you have asked me how to do a bowl. Same thing. It's just like making the hat. You make, you increase stitches, and then you flatten it out to make the sides. And then if you want to close it up and make a ball, then you decrease stitches. I'm not going to show you how to decrease today, but when I do, I plan on making the ball later on because someone else requested it. I forgot, one of the other students in the class. I forgot who it was, but I'll find out. And that when I do that, then I will show you how to decrease as well. Today we're just increasing and then doing the straight wall down. So I'm almost there. I'm on the last stitch. And then I know this is my beginning because I see the bump. I'm going to stick it into the first stitch. Yarn over, pull it through. It's a little tight. Don't worry about that. Just keep working it till you get it through. And then work it into the last stitch. Okay, and if you see it, I don't know if you could tell, but it's starting to curve a little bit. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing again. Chain 1, single crochet all the way around. I'm probably going to do about 3 or 4 more of these depending on how deep I want it. And then I will start doing the flap, this part right here on the hat. So I will pause the video now, continue going until you make it as deep as you want, and then I'll show you how to do the flap. Okay, I went around 5 times just using single crochet, 1 in every stitch all the way around. Remember, we did our first, made our chain of 3, connected, then we single crochet 10. You always chain 1 first, and then we single crochet 10. Then on the next row, chain 1, and then we single crocheted into the same hole with the chain. That gave me my 2, and I did 2 in every one around. And then I started building my wall by just doing a single crochet in every stitch around, and I did that 5 rows, and then I connected. Now we're going to start doing the flap. With the flap, we're going to do an increase like we did here at the beginning so that it has a flare. And I'm going to do about, let me see how many I did on this one. I did, it looks like 1, 2, 3. Looks like 3. We'll see how it looks after 3. And I did double crochet and, let's see, just double checking that that's what I did. Double, single. Okay. So what I did to increase is I did a double and then a single, a double and then a single. But I did it for all 3 rows in order, and that it starts getting that flare that you get like this, where it's floppy and it kind of goes up and down, kind of like a beach hat. So that's what you want. That's the look you want to go for. So the only difference on the first row is you're going to chain 1 like you did with every other row. And instead of going under the V, you're going to go only into the top of the V. That's it. You're only going into the top of the V. And you're going to do the first row, you're just going to do a single crochet in every one of the top of the V. You're not going to increase yet. So single crochet, only going into the top. See how there's a V? There's a V right there. I'm going into the top part of the V. I'm not going into both. And the reason you do this is so that it starts to flare out. This only going into the top part of the stitch makes it start going outward, and that's what you want. So let's do one in every single stitch, only the top of the V. You're not doing the bottom. And go all the way around so I can show you exactly what's going on. You can even see it already. See how it's starting to flare out a little bit? That's exactly what we want. So you're going into the top of the V all the way around. And this is just one single crochet in every stitch. After this row, we're going to start doing increased stitches so that we can make that flared look to our flap. We want it to look like it's, do you see the mistake I made here? I have 3. So what I did is I started to go into the next stitch before I finished my single crochet. All right, let me try that again. Put it in, out. And that's one thing about crochet, why I love it. It takes a lot of concentration. And if you're yapping the way I am, you're gonna make mistakes. So it's kind of the reason I got into crochet, is so that I could focus on something and not think about anything else. It's a really good way if you're feeling stressed out or you need a little break. It's a great way. It's like therapy. Okay, so this time I'm gonna close it off. I finished. You see the loop right here? So I'm there, so I'm gonna stick it into the first stitch only in the top of the V. And I'm gonna yarn over, pull through, and then pull through the first stitch. Now, if you look, let me pull this out so you can see. Let me do it upside down. You could see how it has like a little rim, like a little cup with a rim. That's exactly what you want, okay? So now we're gonna start increasing the stitch. So, but this time you're gonna go into the entire V, not just the top of the V. You only do that for one row. And let me double check and see what I did on this one. It looks like I did 2 in every one. 2, 2, no, 2, 2, 2, and then this next row, I did 2, 1, 2, 1. So I'm increasing it the same way I was telling you before. So let's do 2 in every V all the way around. First thing you do, chain 1. Always chain 1. Now we're going to go under both parts of the stitch now, the V. And we're going to do 2 stitches in every one. So into the full V and do 2 stitches in every one. And you'll really start to see it flaring out and starting to have that floppy look that you want for this type of hat. So all the way around, do 2. Okay, I'm going to pause the video now and I will come back when I finish this row. Okay, I'm at the end of the row. I did 2 single crochets in every stitch around. Now I'm going to connect it to the first stitch and slip stitch. Just pull it in, pull it out, pull it through the first stitch. Now the next one, we're going to do 2, 1, 2, 1. So chain 1, and I always just put in the first one into the same one where the chain is and count the chain as the first stitch. So there's my 2. So I'm going to do 1 and 1, and we're doing it under the entire V, not just the top chain. You only do that on the very first row that you're starting to do your flare. Okay, so I did 2 in the first one. I actually made a mistake and made 2 in the second one too. No, wait. 2 in the first one. No, I did not make that mistake. Sorry about that. 2 in the first one. 1 in the next one. 2 in the next one. 1 in the next one. 2 singles, 1, 2, 1 single in the next one, and 2 in the next one. 1, 2. Okay, I'm going to go all the way around, and I'll come back when I'm near the end of that row. Okay, here I am at my last stitch. My last one was 2, so this one's going to be 1. And then connect. Put it through the first stitch, pull it through, and then pull it through the stitch. So you could stop here, but I think I want to make it a little wider. So let me do one more. And so on the next one, I'm going to do 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. The reason that I'm doing that is because if I do 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, it's going to do too much floppiness. And we want to kind of make it a little bit flat. So that's why I'm doing a different count on each row. So let me start you off on this one again. Chain 1, and we'll do the 2 on the first one. So put it in. So there's my 2. So the next 2, I'm going to do a single crochet and a single crochet in the next one. Now I'm going to do 2. 1, 2. Then again, back to 1, 1. 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet in the next one, and I'm back to the 2. So 2 and 2. There we go. The next one, single crochet. Oops, lost my stitch. Single crochet, single crochet. Then the next one, 2 single crochets. 1, 2. So now the pattern is two single crochets in 1 stitch, then 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, then 2 again. So you're going to go around and do that. I'll meet you at the end. Okay, here we are at the end of that row. The last one I did, it was 2 single crochets. So the last stitch, I'm just going to do 1 single crochet. Even if I don't get the 2, it's fine, as long as I get fill in all the stitches. And then close it off. At this point, I'm done. I think that it looks good enough. Sorry, I couldn't pull it out, so I'm going to try it again. I think I'm done. I feel like I made it floppy enough, round enough. It looks good to me. Looks similar to this one. Sometimes they don't look exactly the same, but it's floppy. It's a nice hat. It'll fit a small doll or a stuffy. So, and see, it's got the flare. And once the doll's head or is in there, then it'll look better. So I'm happy with where it's at. So I'm going to tie it off. What you do, if you want to continue and make it floppier or bigger rim, then the next row you chain 1 and you do 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, and you keep going around and you keep increasing that every row. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. Just leave a little tail. And you can just sew this tail in. So you can use any yarn needle you have. This was just the closest one I had. And I like to go hide it as much as I can, excuse me. Go one way and then maybe go through the bottom and go the other way just to hide it. And that way no one can see that there's a tail there. So stick it in. And go the other way. Try to hide it in there as much as you can. And then you're gonna have a little extra. Just kind of pull it, tug it a little, and cut off your excess. Try to cut it as close to your work as possible without cutting your work. And then the original tail, I would turn it this way so you could see it. Turn your hat inside out. Pull it as tight as you can to close up the hole. Then you can sew it in a little bit more, just a tiny bit, because it's pretty much in the work already. So pull it through and maybe just put it across the way and put a little knot there so that your hole does not open up. Pull it all the way through and then maybe put it through the same loop again and put a knot. You can do it again if you want. I think let me try it one more time because I want to make sure it's very secure. So put it through again. I can't find my needle that I showed you last time that opens up. Those are my favorite needles, and things like needles get lost very easy when you have a lot of crafts going on. Let me see, put it through one more time, over through the middle. Leave a little bit of a loop and put it back through the loop like that. And then you can cut it off, like I said, cut it as close to your work as possible without cutting your work. Then you can flip your hat back over and shape it out. Once you have it on your doll or stuffy or whatever you have it on, it'll look better. This will probably even look good on a Barbie doll or any kind of doll, that type of doll. So, and like I said, you can make it wider if you want to have a stuffy or a doll with a bigger hat, or a bigger head, I mean. Or you can leave it this way. I made it small because I was just using it on this little guy. It's my grandson's little llama. I just wanted a stuffy with a small hat. So it fit perfect for him. But like I said, you can make it wider if you have a doll with a wider head. Or you can, I don't think you can make it smaller. That's about as small as you're going to be able to make it with this size yarn. And there is going to be a tiny bit of a seam, but it's not that noticeable. That's why I told you I had made another video and I had to read, because I was trying this new method where supposedly it hides the seam. It didn't work for me. I feel like the seam was even more noticeable with the other way, so I decided to go back to my normal way where I just slip stitch at the end of every row. All right, hopefully this was helpful, and I will see you on the next video. Okay, have a good day. Bye.